Welcome in to the first Steelers Talk mailbag of the week. We are currently filming this during our breaking news live show for Brandon Aiyuk requesting a trade to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this one's probably going to have a lot of Brandon Aiyuk questions in it. So just so you guys know, this was filmed on Tuesday. So if any of the questions or answers are out of date, that would be why. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for more Steelers Talk mailbags and videos every single day. Then we got one from $100 Super Chat here from my man and newest Gold Club member, Ron Navy. Salute to your service there, man. Really do appreciate you, Ron. Says, Steelers were smart not to pick up fifth-year option on Najee. Now he will be motivated this year to smash it. I agree. I do. With Najee, he's heading into the final year of his contract because they did pick up that fifth year. And Najee knows because just with recent history with running backs, the second contract is where they make pretty much all of their money, if they make any at all. So Najee really has to turn it up if he wants to make those big bucks this year. And that motivation hopefully will lead to a really great season from Double Deuce. I agree with Ron here that turning down the fifth-year option should mean a very motivated Najee Harris. Then we got one from Young Noticeable here. It says, do you think it's Super Bowl or bust this year? No. I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you frame the question. I think that the Steelers are framing this season as we're going for it. We're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. If we don't win it, then it's an unsuccessful season. But listen, man, if Russell Wilson comes in, wins 13 games, wins a playoff game, and they're competitive in a second playoff game this year, and they show that they can really hang with the big boys in this league, I feel like that's a successful season. Okay, so I don't necessarily think it's Super Bowl or bust, but I think the Steelers feel that it is, and I think that's the right mentality to have. Now let me know down there in the comments section, is this year Super Bowl or bust for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Simply give me a yes or a no for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. We got one from Omar's Burner here, who says, trade a conditional second that moves to a first based on playing time and the extra sixth in 2025. Here's the thing: if Brandon is traded here, he's gonna play the amount of playing time. So essentially, you're trading a first in that scenario, Omar. So it's an interesting idea, but really those conditions are only for players that may or may not play that many snaps, and Aiyuk's going to play that many snaps, right? So I don't hate a second-round pick and a sixth-round pick if the Niners would do that, but honestly, I don't think that this is anything that we could see happen. Then we go on from Edward Mask. What's up, Edward? It says should the Steelers sign Jeffrey Simmons, release Justin Simmons? I don't know why I said Jeffrey. Justin Simmons, release DeMonte KZ, and also go after Gilmore at cornerback. Imagine the Steelers' defense with these additions. So what I'll say about Justin Simmons is that I don't think he wants to come to the Steelers because Justin Simmons is a free safety. Steelers have already said they want to play Minka at free safety this year because that's his best position. They got Deshaun Elliott to play that strong safety role, and DeMonte KZ currently holds that rotational spot. So essentially, if you bring Justin Simmons into the fold, Simmons is going to be a rotational safety, and that's not something he's interested in. He wants to go to a team where he's going to be playing on every down. Likely wouldn't be the case here with the Steelers. And then he wants a team that's going to compete, and I think that there's other teams that need safety that might be slightly more competitive than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. When it comes to Stephone Gilmore, I'm on. Here's the thing, man. They like Dante Jackson. And Joey Porter Jr. Stephon hasn't had a ton of experience in the slot. I mean, I don't think he'd want to play in the slot either. He's an outside corner. So even though I like the names, talented players, just not sure if either player is interested in being a Pittsburgh Steeler. But good ideas here, Edward. Got one from DV Productions. Says, do you think we are better than the Bengals if we got Aiyuk or even Tyler Lockett? I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible that we're better than the Bengals without these guys. I think that the defense is going to be awesome. I think the run game is going to be the main engine of the offense. You hope that somebody between Roman Wilson, Van Jefferson, Quez Watkins, Scotty Miller, one of those guys is going to step up for you. Pat Freiermuth looks like he's going to have a massive season. And the Bengals defense, they lost some big pieces this offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out in this division. But I would say yes, if you get Brandon Aiyuk, you have a better roster than the Cincinnati Bengals. Then we get to Christopher Roy, one of our Black Diamonds here. He says there's still some big free agent cornerbacks and safeties out there. I'm all for boosting the secondary. Who would you sign out of the remaining? This is going to be maybe a controversial decision, but I would say Patrick Peterson. He played really good in the slot and at safety last year when asked to play those positions. Patrick Peterson was bad on the outside. Like when he was asked to play outside corner, he showed he didn't have the speed and the quickness to do that anymore. But he played with really good instincts when he was asked to play in the middle of the defense. And I think that with Cam Sutton out for 8 weeks, Patrick Peterson, experienced, could be a great mentor to the young guys on the outside. And he can play a really good slot corner for the first 8 weeks. So you can get him for the vet minimum. I don't think guys like Xavier Howard and Stephone Gilmore want to play in the slot. I think Patrick Peterson would. Justin Simmons doesn't want to play a rotational role, so he won't be coming here. So I have the guys that are gettable for the Steelers. I would pick Patrick Peterson. Now shout out your guy down there in the comments section. Name a free agent the Steelers should sign down there in the comments section. It can be in the secondary. It can be any other position. Name a free agent that you want the Steelers to sign heading into camp. We got one from Christian Andujar. What's up, Christian? Says, okay, let's say we get Brandon Aiyuk. How are the Steelers going to afford him? Like, whose contracts do they got to restructure to make it work? So here's the thing, Christian. If they sign Brandon Aiyuk, it's going to be an extension, which means that his contract figure won't kick in until the 2025 season. So right now, I believe Aiyuk's cap figure is $14 million for this year. Steelers have enough to pay that this year. They'd be cutting it close to the cap limit, but they can afford a Brandon Aiyuk for this season. Plus, if they trade away a receiver like Calvin Austin III, obviously that cap gets taken off as well. So you can afford Aiyuk this season. The next season, you have a lot of free agents. You have over $70 million in cap space next year because Cam Hayward's a free agent, right? Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts. A lot of these guys are free agents next year. So you can afford Brandon Aiyuk this season and in seasons future. You'd probably be able to bring less players back next offseason if you sign him, but you can afford to bring in Aiyuk this year. Then we got one from Allison who says, hashtag Steelers, what is the percent chance Fields start week 1? I'll put it at a 5% chance. And that 5% chance is if Russell Wilson gets hurt in Latrobe. I think, or he just straight up sucks, which I think is very unlikely. Russ had a really good OTA portion. Everybody on the ground there in Pittsburgh is saying it's Russell Wilson's job to lose, and I don't see Russ losing it. I don't. I think that he's a good quarterback in this system. I think he's going to have a really good season. And honestly, Fields is the one that has been struggling more to this point. Accuracy, getting through his progressions. Russ looks like a pro, looks like a leader, looks like a franchise quarterback. Fields at times, you can tell he's still learning the offense. Accuracy is a bit off, missing some reads. So those are things that I think probably lend itself to maybe a 5% chance Fields is the starting QB week 1. Then we go on from Atticus, who says, what are the chances as of right now that Najee signs another contract with the Steelers? From a percentage standpoint, 20%. I mean, I think what needs to happen is he needs to prove unequivocally that he is better than Jaylen Warren. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen, man. It's going to be interesting to see how the dynamic works this year. We'll know more about it based on how these two men play this season. Because they're only going to pay one of them, it looks like. So, Najee's going to have to straight up perform better than Jaylen Warren, who, in my opinion, is one of the best running backs in football. So, it's going to be interesting. Then we go on from Evan Klar, who says, if you could sign a non-wide receiver or cornerback, who would it be? So, non-wide receiver or cornerback, I mean, Donovan Smith, the offensive tackle. I mean, it sounds like Dan Moore Jr. might be a Kevin Dotson situation where if he's not going to be the starting left tackle, I'm not sure if he wants to play right tackle. So if that's the case, you can get Donovan Smith to be a really, really good swing tackle. He's been the starting left tackle on 2 Super Bowl teams in the last 4 years. He's had kind of dipping production the last few years, but, he's your swing tackle this year if you make that happen. So I like Donovan Smith. If we're not going to get a receiver or a corner, that's probably who I'd pick. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Appreciate everybody that's watching here on this Brandon Aiyuk breaking news edition of Steelers Talk Live. We're going to be going live on Wednesday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to get a question on a future edition of the Steelers Talk mailbag, make sure you click that subscribe button right now.